welcome to the March update. Just about in March anyway, April soon. Here's the garden. So it's been a long, very wet winter, and I've tidied up a little bit of it so far, but a bit more work to go. Here are the herb pots. So that's a blueberry bush just there. This is where there was a tower, which I'm reconfiguring, and that's a pot full of chamomile coming right up. Had a lot of flowers last year. So rosemary there in that pot. And garlic there in the front right, with broadleaf thyme just there in the bottom left, and many more bits of thyme and rosemary, which do very well. Got some bay trees for height, and there's the boy. Okay, well done. And set a little play up area for him here actually, so working very well. We did have the house at the bottom of the garden in the grass, so you can see that mud patch at the bottom. And then if we look back on the patio area, we can see it in all its glory. So a little bit of tidying up still to do, but looking good. It's mainly this corner and this area, so these windows I'm going to create a cold frame with, so we've got a better chance of growing stuff in the British weather. I do want to reconfigure this tower. It's full of strawberries and still needs a bit of dead material coming out of it, but I've thought I want to break them down to be a bit shorter, because they have been a bit of a struggle to reach. So this is a tower from the other pot, and I'm just going to break that down in two and spread it out between two pots, so we have two towers, and see what happens there. Just to the right down here along this border is the kind of like a very thin forest garden, and big bay tree there that's really taken off, and this rosemary is doing very well indeed. And a very exciting plant down here, it's a Goji Berry, and if I can show you, that's the Goji Berry. It survived just being put in last year, just about, and hoping that will grow very well. We've got black currant bush there, which is this one. And this one is myrtle, which is like a small bay leaf, and behind is a big bay, which is quite nice. And then just to the left is a half dead black currant bush, and lots of herbs in here. So this pot is just there for a moment with some rosemary cuttings and a little bit of oregano at its base. And then as we go down, there's marjoram at the bottom of this tree, and another black currant bush. And if we have a look, we've got the initial blossom on this plum tree. So this plum tree's been very nicely... Oh, my gyro is going completely mad. So to the right there is an apple tree, and to the left is the blossoming plum tree. Stop that, darling. Stop. And as we continue down the garden, just there is an apple tree and a cherry tree right next to it. And it's doing very well. When we first took over the cherry tree, it had gone really leggy, as cherries do, and it's come right back now. And all the way along, herbs in the border. Just in this particular bit, there's rootstock for making fruit trees. 4 different varieties of rootstock: MM111, MM106, and some others. And down here is the best bit that's really coming on and getting developed. It's the forest gardens. So we've got 3 bay trees in a row. And just behind these bay trees, if I move this chair out the way, we've got some Babington's leeks. As you can see, the leek shapes there. Been able to get hold of a few more. And then over here, I've planted some bits of thyme. So you can see some thyme there to the right of the leek. And that's normal thyme, common thyme. And then we've got some lemon thyme there, just by the base of that wooden post. The other really interesting plant here is this. It's called garlic cress. It has a very slight bitter note, but generally tastes very nice and garlicky. And then I planted just there some sage, a little baby Babington's leek, and here is some sorrel, which has done really well. That was planted last year, and if you have a look at this wild garlic, it's had millions of babies and is doing really, really well. It needs a bit of a weed here, and that's some wild garlic as well, just with some flowers starting to come up. Ooh, onto the path, darling. And so this is the forest garden. If I give you a view of it, here is the right hand border, and I've mulched it very nicely. The front bit with some homegrown compost, and then the second bit, which is a slightly lighter colour, with some mulch I've got hold of. And then the left hand side, you can see the bits that I've weeded so far. So doing well, but a bit of weeding to go. And the bit that looks like it's got loads more weeds past the fork, they're not that difficult to pull out. Every year the weeds get easier and easier and fewer, and I just weed them out, put more mulch on, and there's really not many weeds on the right hand side either. And at the back there, gooseberry bushes and currant bush with its leaves still yet to come out. And just here on the left, actually, there's a Goji Berry, the one right in the middle. So that's going to be an interesting one. I tried planting some last year and they didn't quite survive. And a really, really interesting part of this forest garden is this Babington's leek and its babies. So you can see on the top right hand side the mummy and daddy, kind of split in two, and then all the babies down here. So lots of baby Babington leeks, which is amazing. So you can see where the flower head dropped down. And this masterpiece over here is the compost heap. So I got a good amount of compost out of it last year, but I'm hoping for much more. And it's just an old fire guard with some chicken wire around it, really. And that's the garden. We've got actually a bit of we've got some rhubarb here that's right in the shade, never really grown very well. So I have been planting it and splitting it out into the rest of the forest garden. And there's an update for now. Some fairly questionable camera skills, and maybe a not so helpful little helper. Isn't that right? We'll end with a view up the garden. Thank you for watching.